We're talking about black belt uniform care. And before I do that, I just want to say that it's super good to see you guys. I'm sorry that I can't hear you, but it's super good to see you and to be here with you today. So we're coming to you live again from the Romanelli official laundry room. And so, today's purpose was really a couple things. Number one, I really wanted to see you guys reach out. And, it's been a couple days, so it's really good to see everybody. And it's great to see so many people on the Zoom meeting. It's great to see that a lot of you are on Facebook right now. And, what we're doing is we're trying to test out some different tools that we can use to communicate with you guys as we go through this time. So I thought today's lecture would be a fun, interactive way to not only learn something, but to come together as a family a little bit as well. And so, one of the things that we really want to try to do by having a good quality uniform is have a sense of pride for what we do. Not just the martial arts, but everything in life, right? So what we wear, how we dress, how we carry ourselves, how we hold ourselves. One of the things that I've always noticed is that I can literally tell usually where a student comes from based on the uniform and how it looks and how it's presented. So what we want to do today is teach you guys how to present a black belt quality uniform. All right, and so we're going to go over some tips and some things that I do personally. A lot of these things are coming from other people that have that I've learned from over the years, et cetera, et cetera. And we'll try to give you some tips and some secrets, age-old secrets, if you will, on how to keep this working for you. So anyway, step number one is you have to have a uniform, right? Now let's say you got a new uniform, so I'll grab mine. All right, so you got a new gi, right? And let me just take this out of the bag for a minute because you see this is exactly the way you never want to fold your gi. You see how you guys have probably taken these out before. They're totally wrinkled. This is not what you want. So what I always recommend is before you put patches on this uniform, before you do anything with it, always wash it first. Always wash it first. Maybe even a couple times, because what you want to do is get the gi to shrink before you put the patches on. So that's real important. And you want to try to see how it's fitting. You want to see what kind of fit you're looking for and kind of get a gauge as far as whether it needs to shrink or whether it's a good size or what have you. That's going to actually help you determine how you care for your gi on a regular basis. So that's number one. Number one is making sure that you wash the uniform. Okay, now there's hot water and there's a cold water wash. And so a lot of times people ask Sensei, how do I wash the gi? Well, it's good to wash the uniform on cold water first and then dry it and see how it comes out, put it back on, see how it fits. A hot water wash is going to wash it better, but it's also going to shrink the uniform a little bit more. So depending on what you're looking for, it takes what you want to do, and depending on how clean and how sanitized you want it, is going to dictate what you do. So always monitor your machine settings. Okay? We have some questions, Keena?
Turn the face on there.
Because you're going in and out, so they're missing parts of you because of the
It looks like there's a blemish.
Okay. So question popped up. The Facebook Live is just on the regular Facebook page. It's not on the Student Center. Okay. And one of the things that you want to try to do is mute yourself if you're on Zoom. By muting yourself, it's going to keep my sound going, and it will also keep you from popping up as much on the video feed. So a lot of times people are seeing other people on the video feed. That's because you're doing something, you're touching something, you're activating the system, okay? Now, I don't have any sound. I can't hear you guys right now. I've got everybody muted on my end. I want to make sure you're muted too. That way, I can keep doing what I'm doing. You can keep hearing it. And then what we'll do is at the end of this, we can maybe ask for questions and make that a little more formal just to make this simpler. As I know a lot of you are new at the system. I'm new at it. I've used it a lot on the receiving end, but never on the hosting end. So thank you for bearing with me. I'm going to continue. And keep in mind that everything we're doing today is going to be recorded, or at least I hope it is. And so that way, I'll post this when we're done, and then hopefully that'll help you guys out a little bit too. So in any case, one of the things that I wanted to continue with is just we're washing the uniform, right? And so whether it's a new uniform or an old uniform, it's always good to wash alone. It's a white uniform. So one of my favorite things I've ever seen is when a student comes to class in a pink uniform. That means they probably washed it with something red. So we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we're washing it alone. You can wash it with other whites, but in most cases, I just recommend being safe and washing it alone. Sometimes people are prone for disaster in that front. So make sure you wash it by itself. Now, one of the things that I recommend, and these are some tips for some of you that have different color uniforms. So if you're a Tai Chi student and you have a black uniform, our NIST students have black pants. And so one of the things you can do that I like to do with our colored uniforms that we use, I actually flip them inside out when I wash them. And, you know, a lot of times you get those marks or those wrinkle marks and the stonewashed look on a colored uniform. If you wash it inside out, it does minimize that quite a bit. So it just keeps it from rubbing and wrinkling and doing all that on the inside if it's inside out. So that helps. It helps preserve that color a little bit longer. And honestly, in some ways, I feel like it washes it a little better too. So that's a good tip. For the karate uniforms, not a big deal. They're white. They don't show that as much. So now, before washing the uniform, a lot of times on the uniform, now this one's brand new, but you're going to get, actually I have another one here, I'll grab it. This is an older uniform. So sometimes you get like the ring around the collar, you know, and you want to take care of that. So excuse me for 1 second, my screen just did something fun. There it is. Okay, so anyway, we've got the ring around the collar. We got to get rid of that. So I'd recommend something very simple for that. So before you wash it, shout it out. All right, so Shout's a good product. You just spray that on the inside of the collar. You can let it sit, let it soak in a little bit, and then wash it. I used to do that all the time. That works really, really well. Other stains and things, that's really good. You want to do that before you wash it. Okay, and another thing that we like to do, so if I'm going to wash a uniform, I'm also going to use some OxyClean. OxyClean is a great, safe way to keep the whites whiter and brighter, as it says. So I'll take a little bit of that, just not a full scoop, but just a little bit of it, throw it in the washing machine, bam, and then I put the uniform in. Now, as far as detergents go, you know, I'll be honest with you, growing up, my mom always used the lowest cost, no name, brandest, you know, whatever kind of detergent. But to be honest with you, you really don't want to skimp on the detergent when it comes to the uniform, because one of the things you want to do is keep it clean, and you want to use a high quality product. The product that I recommend, honestly, for most people is Tide. Tide is known to have a really good effect on the uniforms. I know they have different variations with the color safe bleach and whatnot. That's really, really good. I don't personally use that just because of allergies and things. So something for those of you that may have allergies to detergents and things, the one that we have found in our house that works really good is All. And this is All, the free and clear All. So there's no scents, and it's really good for allergies, and it really cleans the gi well. So do that. Use that if you're worried about that kind of stuff. And then, you know, the next step would be fabric softener, right? I personally don't use that because when we iron the uniform, which we're going to go into in a few minutes, it actually it softens the fabric, and it doesn't keep its shape as well. Now, if you don't like the way it feels and you want to put fabric softener in, that's fine. When I am using that, I like to use the Downy, and I like to use the Free and Clear, or the Free and Gentle, actually. I'm sorry, Free and Gentle. So this is a good product, works really well as a fabric softener, and for those with allergies, it seems to work really, really well. In our house, we've had a few kids that have had allergies. That's been really helpful. I have some allergies myself, and it doesn't bother me at all. So those are some real good products. Now, the one product you never, ever, 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 ever want to use in your life on a gi is, wait for it, bleach. Because bleach will literally destroy the fabric of your uniform. It will take all of your patches and it will turn them pink. And so if you ever run around the dojo and you see the guy with a pink patch, that means he used this. So you don't want to use this. Now, the only time that I might use this is if the gi has no patches on it. I have an old gi, I'm looking to fix it. It's got some stains on it. Maybe I'll do it once. But if you have any of those little rips or tears in the uniform, the bleach is just going to destroy that. So you want to make sure you keep this in a different cabinet, okay? So make sure you do that. Now, we're washing the uniform. And actually, I have a uniform ready to go in the wash. So last night, before I went to bed, I threw this in there. And you can see how this comes out, right? It's all wet and it's really, really wrinkly and so on and so forth. Now, there's a couple ways that will dry the uniform. Number one would be to hang dry it. Now, if you hang dry it, you can't, I'll get my drying rack down here. So if I'm gonna hang dry this uniform, I can't just go like this and walk away. That's just not the way it works, okay? Because then it's gonna dry like that, and that's gonna make the ironing process about 4,963 times more difficult. So don't do that. What I will do is I'll actually shake this out and kind of smooth it out a little bit, okay? And then I can lay it on the drying rack, kind of like the way that I want it to be when it's ironed. So nice and flat. This actually makes a huge difference if you're gonna hang dry your gi. Go around, pull on all the corners, get the sleeves nice and straight, okay? And I'm just kind of showing you at the top of the rack so you guys can actually see this a little bit. But you see, I've got this thing nice and flat and straight. And that's gonna help it dry well. It's not gonna get all the wrinkles out, but it's a lot better than that. Now here's the pants, right? So this looks great. Again, that's not gonna work for you. So what you wanna do, shake it out. You know, get it nice and straight. This is a pretty new uniform. The newer the uniforms are, the more they're gonna look bad when you take them out of the wash. So that's why I chose this one. But again, now I wouldn't stack them like this to dry. This is just me showing you guys. But I'll go around, pull the crotch area there, go down the front of the gi, get the legs nice and straight, you know, and make sure that it dries like that before you, before you do anything else with it, all right? So when you're drying, if you're gonna air dry, that's a real good way to go about it. Now, let's say, I'll be honest with you, I never air dry because it takes too much time. I don't have that kind of time. I want to get this party started. So when I'm doing this, the only time I really want to air dry a uniform is if I just have all the time in the world, or I'm really afraid of it shrinking. If I'm afraid of it shrinking, the air drying is going to keep that from happening for sure. So if you wash it in cold water and you air dry it, you know that uniform is going to stay exactly the same. And, you know, I'll be honest, you put something in the dryer over and over again, it does add to the wear and tear, and you start getting those little rips and things. And so, you know, there are some benefits to air drying. And so if that's your world, go for it. Now, a good hybrid, I call this the hybrid method, or the half and half. Okay, we'll use the dryer. So slide this over, we'll close the washer here, and get into the dryer. You guys can see this. Oh, got some laundry in the dryer. Sorry, guys, hold on just a minute. Oh man, what's this? Oh, okay. Got some laundry in the dryer, sorry. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute, what's this? Oh, sorry. I guess that was supposed to be for next week. Sorry, guys. All right. Oh, geez. All right. Oh, look at that. Oh, wow, that's incredible. How'd that get in there? Well, anyway, we'll talk more about that next week. Let's put this off to the side. Sorry about that, guys. Guess the secret's out of the closet with that one. All right, anyway. So now, moving on, dryer. The half and half method. What I'll do for the half and half is literally, again, shake out the gi before you put it in the dryer, you know, and almost kind of fold it like, you know, up a little bit. This is going to minimize the wrinkling. So I don't just take it out and put it in the way that it was. I'll toss it in there, right? And I'll do the same thing with the top. So just kind of hold it like that. You can see, and I just kind of toss it in. And that works really well. When it comes out of the dryer that way, it's going to be a lot more, or a lot less wrinkled rather. It's going to work out pretty good. So again, I put it in the dryer. Now, what I'll do if I'm doing the half and half method, I'm just going to dry this uniform for about 10 minutes. So I'll set a timer, and in 10 minutes, I'm going to take it out of the dryer. It's still going to be damp, but it's going to take a lot of the moisture out. And so it minimizes that shrinkage a little bit, dries it, and doesn't take as long for it to air dry. So that's what I call the half and half or the hybrid method. Now, anytime you're drying, always make sure that you clean your lint trap out. This is really important because if you don't clean the lint trap, which I should have done, you can see I have the red on there from that cake. But anyway, if you don't clean the lint trap out, you have the chance of getting some of this wonderful stuff on your uniforms. You don't want that. Plus, there's fire hazards and all kinds of stuff. We'll have to ask Mr. Lyon to give us a lecture on that later. But anyway, always clean the lint trap. And something funny that's happened to a few people, Senpai's had this one, I've never had it, but you want to make sure that you don't wash jeans or dry jeans in there before you put the gi in there. Sometimes like that blue will rub off in there, and then the gi will come out and have all kinds of like little blue marks and spots on all the creases and stuff. So I always try to make sure that I never directly put a gi in there right after I put a pair of jeans in there. So you know, I've only seen it happen a couple times, but hate for you to ruin a nice new uniform. So keep that in mind. Now, once we've dried the uniform, then we have to iron the uniform, right? And so that's kind of the big meat and potatoes that I want to go over today. I think a lot of people are interested in the process of how to do that. So we're going to show you how to iron the uniform. Now, number one, a quick disclaimer, kids, make sure that before you even touch an iron that you ask your parents, and really before you use a washer or dryer, you should ask your parents. On the other hand, what I'll tell everybody is the way that I learned to do laundry, the way that I learned to iron anything was because when I was about 13, 14 years old, a friend of mine in class had one of those cool heavyweight uniforms, and he was getting rid of it. He was getting a new one. He had grown out of it, and I was a little smaller than him. So I bought the uniform off him. I said, hey, I'll give you $50, $60 for the uniform. He said, oh, that's cool, awesome. And so I bought the gi. And, you know, it was a little tattered and a little worn, but I was excited because it was my very first uniform. But when I brought it home, Mom informed me that I had to be the one to iron that uniform. So I had to learn. And I taught myself how to do it. And eventually that led to me learning how to wash it as well. So, you know, one of the keys of this is, you know, during this time where we're on a different schedule and some of us are stuck at home, it's a good time to learn some new skills. It's a good time to broaden your horizons a little bit. It's a good time to maybe give the young ones some more responsibility at home. And so for me, you know, I taught my son this week how to mop those mats at the dojo, actually. And you know, for you guys, maybe it's learning how to take care of your clothes, not just your gi, but everything, right? And so one of these things we're talking about today is, of course, the gi. Now, one of the things that we want to do, and I'm going to plug the iron in while we let it warm up while we talk a little bit. So number one, the iron, right? A good iron is really important, okay? I like the Rowenta brand. It's a German brand. I'm half German, so I kind of like that. But no, actually, they're really well known for making good irons. And this one actually has a retractable cord, which is a little bit nice and safer too. So anyway, I'm going to plug this up. We're going to get this party started. And let this thing heat up a little bit. And while it's heating up, we'll get the gi prep. Now, rule number one, never iron a dirty uniform. So sometimes the story goes, well, the uniform got wrinkled. I don't have time to wash it. I'll just iron it again. Well, if you iron it again, you're literally ironing in all the dirt, all the sweat, all the smell, all the nastiness. So whatever you do, never iron a dirty uniform. Okay, so what I've done is I already have a uniform that I've prepped, that I've cleaned. So this one has been washed. We already dried it. It's dry. It's ready to be ironed. Okay. And so what I'll do, I always like starting with the back of the uniform. I always like finishing with the front because the front is the part that I'm not going to sit on. The front is the part that I want to look the best, the longest. And so I'll spread it out. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this over so I don't injure myself here or get burned. So anyway, you guys can see this, right? So I spread it out so the collar's up by the front here all the way back. And I'm not going to iron this completely for you, but I'll show you my steps a little bit so you can follow and get this this secret of ironing the gi. And there's a lot of ways to do it, by the way. This is just the way that I like to do it. I'm sure if you talk to Hansho, he'd probably disagree with most of what I'm doing. So he has his own way of doing it. But I do like my way, I won't lie. Now, one of the things you want to do as you're waiting for the iron to heat up is, make sure you got water in the iron. Fill it all the way up, okay? And you want to turn the iron all the way up. Some people will tell me, well, there's different settings and gi's thick, it's heavy. Turn that thing all the way up. If you want it to actually lose some wrinkles, you got to turn the thing all the way up and put it on the steam setting. So different irons will have different settings, but you got to make sure that you turn this thing up all the way so you get maximum benefit. Okay, I don't do things halfway. So make sure you do that. Bam. Okay, that's important. Now, second thing, if you really want to take good care of your iron, Mom always told me put distilled water in the iron. Distilled water actually saves the life of the iron a little bit. You get a little less of like the mineral deposits and things that build up over time in the iron. I'll leave that one up to you. But I wanted to at least pass it along. These are the pearls of wisdom that were given to me. If you don't have distilled water, tap water works just fine in a pinch for sure. Now, we've turned it up all the way. And again, kids, a hot iron is a hot iron. Be very careful with this. Only do it if you got permission. Now, one of the things that I want to do is I either use water, a spray bottle of water, or if you want to get an extra crisp uniform, starch it. Any spray starch is fine. Personally, I don't prefer that. The water works just fine. But what I want to do is just spray this thing down a little bit. So it just gets a little damp. All this will get dried up by the iron. But that helps release the wrinkles a little bit. And now I'm going to iron. It's pretty good here.
This is Zoom. I have no idea.
That's pretty good. I think we're going to start. If you have any questions about this, I'll review the chat questions on Zoom in a little bit. I'll go through and answer those. If you have any questions and you're on Facebook, go ahead and type those in. My wife is sitting back here and she's ready to give me any feedback you guys have, or if there's something you can't hear or what have you. Okay, I can see me and I look great. Other than that, that's all I know. All right, so I'm going to iron this. Now I'm going to start in the middle. Now, we do have it turned up all the way, so I don't want to leave the iron in one spot for too long. You can leave it there for a few seconds. This gi's ironing up pretty good, so I don't have to do too much of that. But I'll start in this middle section. All right, so I do the middle. All right, so I've got, ta-da, that's nice and ironed, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide over. I do it in 3 sections because of the size of my board. So I'll do the left side. Now I'll do just the left and show you. So again, I'm going to spray it down. Do it real quick here. Spray it down, go through, and iron. So step 1 is going to be doing the back. Want to make sure I get that back nice and sharp before I go to the front, okay? There's going to be spots on the uniform where there's seams, where there's stitching. Hold there for a second. That'll help flatten some of that out for you guys. All right. And then what I would do next, you can see the steam there because we're steaming this thing. I'll slide down and I'll do the 3rd section. Okay, I'm not going to do the 3rd section now and take up all the time, but that would be my next step. So I get the whole back done. Now what I want to do is get the back of the sleeve. So again, I do the whole back. So I'll take this uniform, this is the front. I want to get the back. So I'm going to take the back and I lay it down. And again, before I iron anything, I want to make sure that I flatten it out, smooth it out, because the last thing I want to do is iron a wrinkle in this thing. So I'm going to do both sides. I'll demonstrate one side, spray it down. Okay. Take the iron. And I like getting up by the shoulder. It gives me that nice shoulder crease. It's really helpful. And then I'll go down the sleeve. And I like that sleeve crease. So I'm going to go down, make sure I get that nice and sharp on the crease there. Get inside of the arm. I'll show it to you guys as I finish. I know it's not super easy to see on the screen there. And all right, so we've got a nice iron sleeve. So I iron the whole sleeve and the shoulder. And then what I would do is just flip the uniform around. Okay, lay this on there. And I would iron the opposite side the same way. So I'd iron the sleeve and the shoulder, get it nice and flat. So that's my process. Now I've got the whole back of the top. The top's the hardest part. And I always start with the top because I feel like, hey, if there was an emergency and I had to stop halfway, I'd much rather have a nice top than the bottom isn't as important. So in any case, I'm gonna now go to the front. So when I do the front, I do it in 3 sections. Okay, so I'm gonna put on the ironing board like this, and I'm gonna iron the sleeve and the top of the lapel, and then the middle, then the bottom. So I'll do just the right side and show you guys how I do that. The left will be the same, just the opposite, right? So I smooth it out. I want to make sure I follow that shoulder crease that I created on the other side. Use my hands, smooth it out, make sure it's nice and flat. So I'll just prop this up real quick, show you guys what I got. So I've got the gi nice and flat on the board. I've got nice and flat here, no wrinkles, okay? Use my water, spray it down. Now, hot iron. Be careful of your patch. Speaking of patches, make sure that you sew all your patches on. You don't want to try to iron the patches on. They will inevitably come off. So make sure you guys are always sewing the patches on. That's super important. I got the lapel here. All right, I'm gonna go to the sleeve. So I'll iron down that crease again. So I've ironed that sleeve crease twice now from both sides. It's gonna look real sharp when we're done. All right, so I've got the first section. You can see the sleeve and the lapel there. Now, if you look down the lapels, we get to the middle and the bottom, it's still pretty wrinkly. I haven't ironed that yet. So what I'll do is I'll look for the spot that's not wrinkly. I'll slide down and I will iron the midsection of it. So just come on down and I'll iron the middle. Hope this is all making sense, guys. Gotta get in all the little nooks and everything. There's that seam that goes down the front. By the way, the new Mugen gis that we have, they tend to iron up really, really nice. You know, a lot of you have been wearing those. A lightweight uniform will iron up real nice and real quick, but it'll also re-wrinkle just as fast. So that's the one disadvantage of a lighter uniform there. And then, so I've got the middle. Now I'm just going to go down and do the bottom. So I slide it down. Now I like doing it this way. The other way would be to iron the top pieces separately, meaning that you'd hang it on the board. I like kind of re-ironing the back by ironing the top. It also helps me get those shoulder creases nice and helps make sure I don't have any wrinkles down the sides of the body. I just find that I get a better iron if I do it this way. I don't miss any pieces. I don't have to move this thing around as much. And honestly, one of the things we're going to go over in a minute is how to fold. And so if you iron it the way you're going to fold it, it makes folding it a lot easier, which means you're not going to have any bad wrinkles because of folding either. So anyway, just the philosophy behind my process and why I do what I do. So we've got the entire left side of the gi, if you're wearing it anyway, left side all iron. See, check it out, okay? If you like what you see here, clap. I see a few people clapping. All right, thank you, Jacqueline. I see you clapping. I want to thank you for that. Oh, I see, who is that down there? Mary. Thank you, Mary. I do my best. Now, I would repeat this with the opposite side, okay, which I'm not going to demonstrate because it's going to take a little bit extra time, but you guys get the idea. What I did do was I do have a completed iron top to demonstrate with. So I'm going to set this down. One second, guys. All right. So this top is totally ironed. I ironed it last night just for you guys, okay? When you're done ironing the top, honestly, the most important thing is how you fold it. That's the worst part. You know, I hand a gi to somebody and I ask them to fold it, and I'll tell you, some of these guys, they have no idea how to fold anything. And if you crumple it up after you've ironed it, that's not going to help you. And if you don't fold it right, you could actually add a lot more wrinkles to it. So I'm going to show you the way that I fold the top. Since we just finished ironing the top, I'll show you how we do that. So I grab it, I pinch the corners of the collar here, I fold it down the center. Now, keep in mind you just ironed this, right? So it's still hot, it's still warm. If you fold it well, you're going to lock in all that good stuff you just did. If you fold it bad, you're going to create more problems. So I always want to make sure that I get the sleeves. I pinch them, so I got like a nice symmetrical fold here, okay? And the reason why that's easy is because I ironed it that way. And so I'm gonna lay it on the ironing board, okay? And I wanna go around, I'll move the iron just so I don't iron myself here. And I'll move this up for you guys, and I'll turn it in a minute. But I wanna slide down and make sure, I use my hands, just smooth it out, just like I was doing when I ironed it, okay? And I actually like to flip it this way, just for my own personal preference. I like that lapel on top, but anyway. So I smooth it out, and then I take this and I fold it right down where the shoulder would be, and I line it right up with the lapel. And I got a very specific reason for that. So I fold it like this. So the sleeve is going right down the line of the lapel. My crease is actually right here. The reason why I love that is because that's where your arm bends anyway. So when you put this gi on, you're going to have that crease right there. It's not going to matter because that's where your arm bends anyway. And the rest of the arm is going to look fine. So if you start folding the arms and crisscrossing and doing things, you're going to have a lot of creases in that arm you just ironed. So, and then what I'll do, then I just start folding in half. So I come down and fold it in half, okay? So I've got this. Then I flip it and I fold it in half again. And because they're not real sharp folds, the creases, once you put it on, are very, very minimal with the folding. And this is the way I like to fold the gi top. I find, number one, it fits in the bag really easy that way. If you're using a backpack, it slides right in. It actually stays together. Like I can just hold this and move it around and it's fine. And when I open it up, it's going to look good still. Okay, so that's my secret for folding the top, my personal method. If you didn't need to fold it so small, of course you could open it up and just, you know, fold it halfway. They would stay even nicer, right? So I'm going to put that to the side. I'd like to go on to the pants now and show you guys some things to do with that.
Sensei, everyone's asking if you will teach the kids dusting and vacuuming next week.
So the question is, will I teach dusting and vacuuming next week? Well, no, I won't. Well, you know, maybe. I have no problem teaching it. I just don't want to have to do it all the time. But
What's the temperature of the iron again?
well, I don't know what the specific degrees of the iron are, but I'll tell you this: these are just questions that are coming in. Up, all the way up. Just turn it up, turn it up. Now, what I will tell you is my iron has settings on it for cotton, and linen's the highest setting. Yes, the uniform is cotton. I'll be honest with you. I don't iron anything unless it's on this setting, even if it's something that's like silk or anything like that. And we'll go over some specifics for some of the tight uniforms. Now, there are some precautions you got to take when you do that, but I always turn it up because if you don't have steam, you're really not going to get those wrinkles out. It's really, really tough. You got to work really, really hard. You just got to be smart about it. But this cotton is it's a cotton canvas. It's so tough that unless you just let the iron sit there, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. That's how I learned. That's how America does it. That's how Dad did it. Well, at least Mom anyway. It worked out pretty good. So anyway, pants. So these are dry, these are clean, but they're not ironed. Again, I always start with the back. So I start with the back side because when I sit down and move around or bend my knees, that's the first part that's gonna get wrinkled. But I want the front to be awesome when I'm done. So there's a natural crease, and some of them even have a seam there. This one just has a crease, but so I get that and I just put it across the board. Okay, and again, you gotta smooth it out. And the pants can develop some weird looking wrinkles. Now, the newer the gi, the more you kind of have to break it in. This one's actually a little bit older. The one that I washed was newer, and the one that I ironed last night was brand new. So it is possible. You just got to work a little harder, but the more you do it, the better it gets over time. I'm going to spray it down. So right now I've got the pant leg. Okay, I've sprayed it down. It's covered my whole board, and I can just go down and iron this whole thing. Now the process will be identical for both legs. So I'll just do the one. While I'm kind of doing this, I'm going to go down, and I kind of go back and forth with this across the crease line, just because if I just go like this and I just go down it, a lot of times I'll make some ripples and some wrinkles and things in there that I'm going to have to smooth out, which is harder. So just a couple little, little tips there. You'll figure these things out as you iron your own, but I'm assuming my students know nothing today. So, so we're starting from the, from the top with this, but anyway, I want to get the creases and the seams on both sides. I want to get that bottom cuff ironed real nice and neat. That really makes the pants stand out when you got a good cuff at the bottom. And again, I'll hold the iron there. So I'm gonna, hold the iron there for a minute, let that sink in a little bit. Okay. So that's like what I call step one of the pants. So I got the back ironed, nice and flat, looking good. What I'll do is, this is just me, but if it's not ironed, I can feel it. I don't like it. I always like to iron the crotch of the uniform too. So I'll turn it, smooth it out, and there's three pieces to it: the left, the right, and the center. So I'll do one side, and I'll get the middle, and I'll bring this up and show it to you guys. You can spray it with water. I usually don't do that. It's not as big of a deal, but it just makes the uniform a little bit nicer. So I'll iron inside here. I'll iron inside the leg here, and make sure that I got a good ironed area there. Okay. So, and we'll leave it at that. All right. So in any case, that's that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to iron the front side. So the front side's still wrinkly. The initial ironing did help a little bit. I really just have to follow the same plan here. And I'm gonna get my water out, spray this thing down, and use the iron, and really just follow what I did on the other side. It's pretty simple. As I said, the pants are the easy part. So I like to get all the hard work done first. It's kind of like being in school and getting home. I was always the one that liked to get the homework done right away, so that I had the rest of my night to have fun, play my video games, play with my friends, go outside, whatever it was. And I encourage that, get the tough stuff done first, save the fun stuff as your reward. I have a couple of animals that are trying to help me iron, but other than that, we're doing good.
So Claire Patterson and Andrea would like you to fold the top one more time before you're done.
Sure. Special request, fold the top again. So we'll do that. What I'll do is I'll finish the pants, and then I'll redo the whole thing again so you guys can see it. So it's hard for me to know how well you can see what I'm doing on the video there. But there is a recording, so hopefully that will help you guys too. Now I got the whole front ironed, and now I'm going to go in and do the crotch area. And again, I like getting both sides of this, and just might sound weird, but if it's all wrinkly, it just doesn't feel very comfortable. So okay, so I've got a whole right leg on this gi ironed. Okay, this is the front, and this is the back, and the back still looks great, but I started with the back so that I know the front is perfect. I would then do the other side and repeat that process, right? Now, folding this is really simple. Some people like to fold the front in. I don't like that because, again, I feel like I'm messing up the front of my gi, and it tends to wrinkle more that way. What I like to do is take the back and fold it in this way. And then once I fold it, I got the top together, and I pull the crotch out so that I get a good, nice fold there, okay? What I'm gonna do is finish this and show it to you with a completed uniform. So put this off to the side for a minute. Excuse me, Bear. Bear's my dog. And, oh, pants over here. Usually don't iron 3 gis at a time, so it's a little bit of a workout here. Anyway, I'll unfold this one. So this is the one that I ironed. This is completely ironed, okay? And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold. Top is nice and together. Pull the crotch out. This one's kind of folding itself because I already did it, but I'll lay it on the board and just smooth it out. Because again, if it's warm, you're gonna lock in whatever you're doing here. So you wanna make sure, in essence, if you fold it well, it actually irons it a little better for you, okay? And then what I'll do is I'll take the ties and I'll just lay them across. I do that because I have cats. And if I let these ties hang off the board, they're gonna jump on this board and give you guys a much more entertaining lecture. So I'm laying the ties across. But if I let these ties drop, oh, they'll just jump at them and it'll be fun. Actually, Earl, yeah, you just saw the ties. Anyway, okay, so we're gonna fold those in. Now, down the middle, I got to do one crease, but that's it. Down the center, okay? So I folded it in half, okay? I'm just doing this a couple times so you guys can see. So I got the ties across, I fold it in half. Having the board out is really helpful for this because it's nice and flat and it's easy. Then I just fold this in half again. So I'll turn it. And I want to make sure that I kind of smooth it out so I'm not creating any wrinkles, okay? And now I've got a completely folded bottom. A lot of people like to do different things with that crotch and fold it in. Honestly, if I just wrap it like this, it's just the same and it doesn't wrinkle as much. So these are just some things I do. One of the things that a lot of the guys give me a hard time about is I'm the guy that can fold an entire dress-up suit in a suitcase. I don't use a garment bag. I don't do any of that. And I pull it out, it's fine. And so these are just some things I do to make that happen. And gi's actually the easiest one, to be honest. So once I've done that, I've got the top and the bottom. And I've got a nice little neat package. I use a backpack a lot, so this just slides right in my backpack, keeps it nice and neat. It's easy, right? A little quick tip: if you got socks or undergarments, whatever, a good place to put those, honestly, is if you open up the gi and you put it in where you folded it, because now it actually puffs out that fold. It doesn't get as wrinkled. So those are just some little things that are helpful sometimes if you're going to have it in the bag for a long time. What I'll do is I'll unfold this and fold it one more time because we did have some questions about the folding process. So, all right, top. Now I'm just going to slide the iron over, or the board over a little bit for this. We have the top. Pinch the corners. I never fold it inside. I see a lot of people do that. It's a recipe for wrinkles. I fold the outsides together. So, and then I grab the sleeves and I grab the points of the sleeves. So now you see my lapels are free. They're not going to get wrinkled. All right. Everybody see this? Then I lay that on the board and I just keep that grip, right? I just kind of drape it over the board. Okay. And then I fold down the shoulder. So I'll lift that up. Okay, so I took the sleeve and I just folded it over across the shoulder. So the only crease that I'm gonna have is right here. And when I put the gi on, that's where my arms bend. So that crease really doesn't do anything for you in a bad way. Then it's just a matter of folding it in half. And I always follow the line of the lapel. So I just follow the line of the lapel and fold. So now I've got this nice line, everything's nice and clean. Again, I have this kind of fold line, which is where my belt's going to go, where the gi's going to wrinkle anyway. So it works pretty well. Then I flip it over, you can kind of see the line there, which will disappear once my belt's on and everything. And I just fold it in half again. Pull the ties out, make sure they're out of the mix so they're not getting, so they're not wrinkling inside the gi. And so this is my completed folded top. I hope that helped answer the questions. If there are more questions, of course, we'll address those. I know there's a few more questions. I'm getting the hand raised. What I'm going to do is fold the bottom one more time, and then I'll answer any questions we got. Okay. So bottoms. Personally, don't like folding inward. I feel like it wrinkles the front more. I like to put it back to back. So back of the legs together. Top across like this. Pull the crotch out. Lay it on the ironing board. Straighten it out. Smooth it out. Avoid animal attacks. Fold ties over top. Okay, so I got this setup here. Crease down the center. So I'm just lining everything up with the top of the gi here. So this is the line I'm going for. And I just fold it again. All right. If I need to put it in a bag, the crotch is there I'm not worried about, so I can fold that over, shove it in. I got this nice little rectangle basically, right? I can put the top on top of the bottoms. And, you know, no matter what size gi you have, they pretty much match up like this, where you've got this little rectangle for the most part with a few weird edges on it, but this will slide right in. And any of the things that get a little wrinkled are the ones you don't see because of how you wear the gi. So I hope that helps. I hope that makes sense. And we have some things I want to go over, but let's pause for a minute and answer any questions. So Kina, what are some of the questions we have?
The other one I have is from Mike Schramm. When storing a gi for a long period of time, should you fold it or on a hanger?
I'm glad that was brought up. I meant to put that in my notes. I don't know if you guys heard the question. So hanging the gi, and if you're storing it for a long time, should you hang it? Should you fold it? If you're storing it and it's ironed and you want it to stay nice, there's nothing wrong with hanging it. I tend to fold everything because I'm always using it, and that's fine too. You know, when you're coming in and out of the dojo, it's very hard to do that with a hanger. There's a few students out there, I won't mention any names, that have been hanging onto their hangers for a long time, but they're cumbersome, right? But if you're storing it in a closet, you know, what I like to do if I'm going to put it on a hanger, unfortunately I don't have one sitting here, but that's all right. Well, so I hang it like I fold it, and if you are storing it for a long time, that's fine. You can get one of those little like garment bags you put a suit in so that it doesn't discolor and it stays nice. That's a really good thing. If you, oh cool, we have an emergency hanger here. All right. If you are, sorry, just checking our stuff here. If you are, you know, not going to wear it for a while, that's a good way to store it. But what I'll do is I'll use the hanger, and I'll just put the hanger right down the creases I created. So I can take this folded gi, and so I'll hang it like this, right on that crease, you know, that fold line.
You and your cleaner.
So it's like I had in the first place. And then the top, I just like to be careful with the sleeves so they don't get wrinkled.
Okay.
And so a good way to do this is I'll put it, this is my gi for this week, so you know I'm not going to let it get wrinkled. I hang it over the top. Now what happens is you see how it kind of drapes like that, it gets a little floppy. So what you can do is kind of lay it out, and then you have those folds down the shoulder. I'll fold the sleeves in like that.
Oh my
So now when I hang it, it actually kind of hangs flat. So now I've got like this, you know, and if I'm in the closet, I just push it up against other clothes in the closet. And this actually keeps it pretty nice. So that way when you're hanging it, you're not literally just pushing wrinkles into it. So if you're going to hang it for a long period of time, that's fine. You just got to make sure you're careful with it. If you want to actually pull it out and wear it, make it look good without having to rewash it, re-iron it, all that. Just be careful. This is white. This is a white gi. It can get dusty. It can get dirty, even if it's just hanging there. So you want to be careful with that too. I hope that helped a little bit. I'm going to set this off to the side. And actually, I'm going to refold this. But
they're asking to show you how.
yeah, you know, the questions about the belt, and I'd love to do that. We do have a belt in the garage if you want to grab that, because his bag's in the garage and his belt's probably in there. I actually would love to have that anyway. So we'll give some tips on the belt too. That's a really good question. And what I'm going to do real quick is just fold this, just because I don't have anywhere to hang it right now. But I'm going to refold this. You guys get a nice little demonstration. I'm going to do it a little faster though. Sorry. But I hope this is helping. Now, I'd like to touch on some of the other, I'm focused on the karate uniform just because probably, a decent part of our audience, but a lot of these, it's the same for everything with just a few little tips that I'll go over. But anyway, I'm folding this again. Okay, so I've got my uniform folded. You saw me do that a little faster without the steps. There we go. And so the belt. Any specific questions about the belt before
It was just my trim. You just said it might be nice for you to show how to.
Sure. So if I got the belt, you guys, most of you probably know that if I want to store the belt, this is my son Joey's belt, but it's the one I have available right now. Anyway, find the middle and fold it a couple times, right? And just keep folding it in half. Now, this is a great way to store it, like if you're sliding into a small space, maybe you're putting it into your luggage, you just set it in there. It literally can fit right against your uniform, in the suitcase, on top of it, and all those little nooks and crannies where you can't fit anything else. The belt actually fits pretty well. Nice thing about your belt is it's flexible. You can bend it. You can do different things. If you're sliding into a backpack, this is a great way to do it. If you have a duffel bag, which a lot of you do, you come into class, you have a big bag. You guys have probably seen us do this before, and it's even on the wall this way. You'll grab it, and then you can tie it so that it doesn't come apart, just like you tie your belt. So I just go, once I folded it, I just put my right hand over my left side, push that through, and tie it, and then just kind of snug it up a little bit. And now you got that. So that works really well. Mike Schramm was asking about the hanger method. So if you're storing it on a hanger and you're going to store your belt too, what I would do is just open the belt either halfway or all the way and just hang it on the hanger that way. So that's a real, a real easy way to store your belt. It's all in the same place, and you're good to go. I hope that nobody's going to be storing their gi too long because you're going to come to class. I'll leave it at that. So in any case, that's the belt. Now, let's talk about a few of the other uniforms that we have. I'm going to unplug this iron real quick before I trip over myself here. So Aikido uniforms, you know what, guys? Identical process. Only big thing there is the top is thicker. It actually irons up really nice. You just are going to have to work a little bit harder on it. And the bottoms are actually a little bit thinner, so they're actually easier to iron. You just got to make sure you don't get those ripples in that uniform because they'll fold over themselves easily. So you got to make sure you keep it flat and straight and everything. Now, the Tai Chi uniforms, I washed it inside out. If it's a cotton uniform, the silk doesn't really, you don't have to worry about that as much. And then what I'll do is, of course, flip it the right way. Whether I've hung dried or I've dried it to dryer. As far as ironing it goes, I use the same process. There's just a seam down the center. So I do the back and then I do the front. I just line it up and do my 3 pieces. I just have to go around the buttons and everything. And depending on the fabric, you got to be careful with the iron. What I recommend you do, if you're not sure how hot you can do the iron, is turn the iron up, iron the inside of the uniform, a small piece that you don't care, that isn't as visible, and see how that goes. And honestly, what I have found is as long as you're taking the iron and you're moving it around and you're not just doing that, it actually works really well. Even on, I've ironed silk ties that way. Sometimes just keeping it like a millimeter off the surface and just going across with the steam will take the wrinkles out if you're concerned. But I've always found that having that steam is really helpful. So you want to make sure you do that. You want to make sure you do that. Arnis pants, same thing. They're gi pants, they're just black gi pants. If you really want to be special, iron your Arnis t-shirt. I'll admit I'm the guy that used to do that. So, I'll flatten the shirt out in 3 sections, and I'll iron it top, middle, bottom, flip it over, top, middle, bottom, and you can get a nice clean iron t-shirt. Don't iron the graphics, the vinyl, the screen print on it. That'll melt and destroy your iron and your shirt, and that kind of makes for a bad weekend. So please don't do that. Any other questions, Keena, that have popped up?
Other than starch or water, that's just pretty much preference, correct?
Yeah, sorry, just getting some water here. Whether you're going to use starch or water is really up to you. But the gi will hold its shape longer. So if you wear it to class, you can starch it and it'll be okay. For a couple more classes, it'll fold easier when you're done wearing it. But it's a little stiffer. It's a little less comfortable. It's really a personal preference thing. If you're starching, you do have to be careful that you clean your iron a little bit more often. Okay. Well, honestly, I find the water works really well. If I don't use fabric softener and I use water, the gi holds its shape pretty well. If it's a heavyweight uniform, it'll hold its shape pretty well. As far as the Tai Chi uniforms, the earnest uniforms and all that, again, it's really your personal preference on what you do with those things. On a white uniform, the creases and everything are going to show a lot more. So I hope that was helpful. A couple of quick things we do before you finish up. I just realized that we've actually been going for an hour now. So I'm glad you guys are interested in this. I hope I'm not boring anybody. But a couple bonus features. Number one, I call it the summer camp gi process, right? So in other words, you're training for a whole week and you're not washing this uniform. How do you keep it fresh when necessary, right? Because, let's just say that I've been around a lot of stinky people training in my time. So the summer camp gi process. Now I'm not going to take credit for this. I'll grab my uniform here. This is straight from the vault of Sensei Richie here. My sensei. But let's say, class is over, you have a break, you took the gi off, and you want to air it out a little bit. One of the things he always does is he'll actually, on the top at least, pull it inside out. All right? So pull it inside out. Don't smooth it out or anything or destroy your creases. Just pull it inside out. Find a nice chair, drape it over, blow the fan on it. That's going to help dry the gi out. It's also going to help not lock in that stench. So if you're done with class and you plan on wearing this gi again ever, and you wrap it up, shove it in your bag, and leave it in there for a week, it's going to be really sticky when you pull it out. So even when you're going home, if you're going to rewear the gi, I always encourage washing it as much as possible. But if you're going to wear it again, you want to make sure you air it out. That's really important. And then what I'll do, and I didn't bring my can, but I use aerosol deodorant. I'll just spray the inside of the gi before I put it back on. That gets it nice and fresh. And then I just pull it, back to normal. And we're good to go. And you can do the pants too. I usually don't. Usually the top has most of the sweat in it. So, okay. The last thing I'll leave you with, this is kind of a traditional fold. I like folding it the way that I showed you for wrinkles, but there is a traditional way to fold the gi, to fold the belt, and to put it in one nice little package like you didn't have a bag. So I'll show you guys how to do that. And when we're done with the lecture, I have a little diagram of this that I found online. There's a couple different ways to do this, but I found one that's pretty easy, and I'll post it on the Facebook page for you guys. So I've got the gi, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it out, kind of like the way it was in that package, which again, I told you I didn't really like. But so I'm going to lay out the lapels. And once I'm done, I'll turn the board so you can see it. So I lay it out so that it's straight across. Okay, you guys see that? So I don't want the gi to fall, but what I've done is I've laid it out the way that it would be in the package. My sleeve is straight out like this. And then what I'll do is take the pants and I'll do the same thing, lay it across so that the top of the pants is at the top of where the collar's at. So this is all lined up. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is take one side and use the pants as a guide and fold it over. So I took this and just folded it over, and so the pants are like inside the top. Okay, I smooth it out. So I've got this. Okay, now I'm going to take the sleeve and line it up with the opposite side of the pants and fold it like that. I'll fold the crotch in so I have a nice clean line, and I'll fold the opposite side of the gi the same way. Okay, so what I did is the pants are inside the top. I folded this over. I flapped this over, so I've got nice clean lines down the side. Then what I do, if the pants are longer, I could fold that over. And all I have to do is kind of like find the middle. So the middle is like right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold toward that middle part. And again, this does wrinkle a little bit, but then what I'll do is I'll fold it in half again. So now the whole gi is in like this little shape here. The back is actually in the front. Breaks most of my rules, but some people like it. And if I can, I could fold it again. So this is kind of like what they call rolling the gi. And there's a couple different ways to do this, but this is one way. And you should tuck all your ties in as you do it too. Okay? And then you can take your belt, and I'll use Joey's belt here. And what you do is you put the belt through, okay? And you actually make a knot with it, and then fold it, and then pull it. So now you're ready to go to class. All right, so you can see how that works. I just slipped the belt through the middle fold there, and now you've got a fully functioning no duffel bag for your gi. So that's kind of my bonus feature for today. I'll post that. I'll be honest though, when I unfold this, it's not going to be the nicest looking gi. So if you want to keep it nice, I recommend using some of the other methods. But this is actually traditional, if you want to call it old school way of doing it. And if you go on YouTube or online, you'll see people doing different variations of this. So I really hope that this was helpful. And honestly, beyond that, I hope it was just a way for us to connect. Before we finish up, I'm going to just move in a little bit, look at our chat here, and see if there's any more questions. And okay, I see 123 questions, so that's always good.
One that says, what's the temperature on the dryer when you're
Oh, that's a real good idea. Okay, so I'll scroll through the questions, but one of the big ones was, what is the temperature on the dryer? So when I dry it, sorry, I'm going to move this over so I can see what I'm doing here. When I dry it on the hottest setting, okay? And again, that's going to dry it faster. If you want to not shrink it as much, you can dry it a little slower and longer. On my dryer, I have a time dry. If I dry it for 40 minutes on the highest setting, that works really, really well, okay? As far as washing goes, I usually will wash it cold unless I've been wearing it for a while, then I'll wash it on a hot water setting because that's going to shrink it a little more too. So I hope that helps. And let me scroll through some of these are just telling me how to use Zoom, so. I hope you guys heard me okay. Did you guys hear me okay? Yeah? Okay, cool. I see some shaking heads. And what I'd love to do, at least before we leave this meeting, is I'll get the gallery view back out just so I can say hi to everybody. Okay. Ella says, good luck. Good job, Sensei. Thank you, Ella.
Maddie said, thank you for showing how to fold.
Maddie said, thank you for showing how to fold. You're welcome. By the way, that fold stuff works for other clothes too, just so you guys know. So let's see here. if you have any big questions, let me know. I'm seeing mostly comments, which I'm enjoying reading, but sorry that we couldn't get the, I'll see if I can unmute everybody and figure that out. But gallery view, row family raised hand. I gotta find them. And let's see if we can unmute. I'm gonna unplug my mic and see if that helps. I know I already tried that, but turn my volume up. Oh, I hear somebody else. That's always good. Who I hear somebody. Who is that?
You can unmute yourself though.
Hi.
No.
Ah, I hear people now. That's cool.
Yeah, you unmute yourself by there's a button and
We were gonna ask.
Okay.
Okay.
So Trish, you had a question, right?
Yes, Tom did.
Tom had a
Do
question.
it with a stiff belt.
Let's,
your mic if you're not.
all right, guys. Let's all quiet down.
Hello.
If you're not talking, mute yourself.
Go ahead. I wanted to ask, what do you do with a stiff belt?
With a stiff belt. Okay, you know that's actually a real good question. So I'm gonna break a karate rule. Okay. So
Hi, Dylan.
you got a new belt. You're not talking. It's brand new, and you haven't actually worn it yet. You know, other than me tying on you for the first time. What you can do is you can actually wash it one time with some softener and break it in a little bit. Okay. I don't recommend washing it after that, but that'll help a little bit. Or sometimes, even if you don't wash it, just throw it in the dryer and bang it around a little bit, it'll loosen it up a little bit. That, you have to break it in the old-fashioned way. Blood, sweat, and tears. Maybe no blood, but just some sweat and tears. But maybe not even tears. How about some sweat? We'll start with sweat.
All right.
All right. Hey,
I have a question about that. Do you wash it with detergent or just fabric softener?
Okay, that's a good question, Lydia. We want to make sure that we wash it with detergent. That's really important, okay?
Okay.
And the detergent that I recommend is Tide, the brand Tide, T-I-D.
The belt?
Oh, the belt. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
thought you meant the ghee. Okay. For the belt, no, you know, honestly, you could just wash it like with water. It's not a big deal. Unless it's not dirty, right?
Oh,
The
okay.
goal of washing is just to soften it up. Now, that
Okay.
doesn't mean that you guys should all throw your belts in the wash. All your stripes will fall off. That'll all happen. You don't want to do that. Thomas was asking, like, you know, when you first get your black belt, like Joey's had this for a while, but it's a stiff belt. And honestly, the black color will actually wear off the uniform for a while. So one of the things I would do when I first it's been a while since I got a new black belt, but I would take it and wash it. And then, you know, that would help get rid of some of that color in it the first time out. Just one time. That's it.
Yeah.
It's actually good to hang it because it will shrink and your belt could shrink. So if it's not too long, you don't want to dry it. So Lydia, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good.
That does make sense.
Good to see you, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Okay.
I
Thank
see
you, sir.
Mary, and I see Jacqueline and Riley, Lydia. I don't see Byron, but I see his name. So Byron, good to see your name. Okay. I see Ace over there. Awesome. I see Stephanie, Ryan, Kyler. Good to see. I see Kyler's dog. It looks like there too. All right. Christopher. Good to see you, Christopher. Wave at me, Christopher. How's it going, man? Sweet. I see Trish and Tom, and I see Rachel. Hi, Rachel. Good. And Dominic Jardine and Olivia Ingalls. Good to see you guys. Ella. How's it going, Ella? Yeah, okay, good. Awesome. I see Tyler. Smile, Tyler. Hey, thank you, Tyler. I see Ethan Light. I see Maddie Krawcheck, Mrs. Craw. Or actually, I see both of them. Okay. I thought it was your mom for a second. Oops. Okay. I see Alyssa.
Is that the cat?
I see Brandon
It's a
Jacob.
cat.
I see a cat. Yeah, I see a cat or dog. No, that's a dog. Okay, I see a dog.
I saw Rima.
I think I see the side of Rex Agar's head. I see.
There was a cat.
I see Rima's ear.
Yeah, a cat.
I see Rima. Her ear was on the top of your screen.
I see the Rops. They're on a
Oh,
bridge.
the cat.
That's cool. I see the Patterson with blankets. That's pretty nice. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, I got it. I see Clinton Crave.
I got my blanket.
All right.
Yeah, there's a smile I wanted. All right, cool. I see the Zarbs. I think I mentioned that. Hi, Zarbs. And I got a whole other page here. So, wow, this is awesome. Oh my God, this is
Just
great.
50 people.
50 people. That's awesome. We should get that.
47, but there was up to 60 earlier while you were talking.
Okay, who's telling me that right now?
I
Me.
saw 70.
Thomas.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Me.
Awesome. I'm sorry we couldn't get the sound to
I'll
work.
put my
I
check
think
there's
I was
50
home.
people.
Oh, that's not
When
Rima.
That's not Rima.
speakers don't work, so next time I'll just
But
have
it's
to
a kitty. Hi, kitty.
I see the Goodens. Hi, Abby. Hi, Maya. I see Ryan Norris.
Hi.
Ryan, you're like in full battle gear there, ready to go. I love it. That's awesome.
My dog named Kyle.
All right, cool.
Hi, Marcus.
Hi, Marcus.
Hi, Marcus.
I'm being harassed.
I see Marcus. I see someone that says iPhone, but he's so close that I can't tell who it is.
Hi, David.
Is that Gage Myrana? Gage, is that you? Okay, all right, cool. I couldn't tell. You were so close. I couldn't tell if it was you. Cameron Witalski, the Ingles, Carson, Jim McCormick is invisible.
Marcus just turned his camera off.
Madison Morgan.
Oh, my iPad's dying.
That is
Beatles thing
L
movie, and I was
I
like,
don't know what
I
that means, but welcome to it.
Carson, look.
Alyssa McKinney. Good to see you, Alyssa. The Recchios. Mrs. Whipper, our senior student. Glad you joined us. Thank you. I see Madeline Littlejohn and Cassidy. Marcus. I see Kyle and Emma. Hi, Emma. Hi, Kyle.
Carson says hi.
Carson says hi. Hi, Carson.
Yeah.
Hi,
I see
Carson.
Jackie. Hi, Jackie.
They say hi back.
Greg. Very good. Now let me introduce some of my special guests real quick here.
I saw Earl.
Good. Oh, we got, okay.
Earl is here.
Yeah, I saw Earl.
Come on, you bring
Oh, there's
Earl.
Rima.
Introduce Earl. Oh, there's Dave.
Oh, there's Rima.
There's Rima. Rima's going for the Remus.
To do all this with all these
Hi,
things
Rachel.
going on, now you guys are behind the scenes. So
Hi, Tina.
I see a question from Mrs. Gooden here. How
Hey, Earl.
often do you wash your gi? Every time or every other? Well, that depends on
Why
you,
is-
gentlemen.
Hi, Maya.
Hi, and Abby.
You know, I recommend at least washing the gi once a week. Obviously, if you're at a class where you're a little more involved, you're going to want to wash it a little more often. But yeah, I recommend it.
It's like your daughter then, right?
I see
Her daughter.
Kelsey there.
Oh, her daughter that works on it.
And
And I have a dog.
Mom or Aiden watching. So that's
We have a dog.
awesome.
Yeah, I didn't know.
I
I knew
see
they had a dog, but I don't know
Laura
what else
on
name.
here.
No fair, they have a
Andrea
dog.
Maybe.
Yes, hi, Rose.
Right there.
Brown.
Oh, no.
Christian England. Oh man, good to see you, Christian. I hope you enjoyed watching. Mrs. Huff.
He ran away.
I see Conjure, Sarah Huber.
Oh, now we got too many dogs.
I don't have any pets. You guys are lucky.
Yeah, they're really lucky. I don't have no.
Ambrosio. All right, awesome. Ambrosio, okay.
That's a
There's a
lot.
lot of dogs.
That's a lot of dogs.
lot of dogs.
Derek Brothers. All right, cool. Well, before we go off of this, are there any other questions?
Nope.
Any questions?
That is
No,
Rima.
at least not for me.
Let me ask you guys this.
Hi, Marcus.
Hi, Marcus.
Was this a cool
Hi, Marcus.
way to connect? Was this a cool way to connect? Did you guys enjoy it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. If you enjoyed it, raise your hand high. If you enjoyed seeing me, raise your hand high. If you didn't enjoy seeing me, just pretend like you're seeing me. Hey, Mox, it's good to see you. I'm sorry I missed you there in my gallery view the first time around. Good to see you guys.
Oh, raise our hand.
If I didn't call you by name, it's only
Okay,
because
Barry.
I didn't
Okay,
see
that's
you on
not
the screen. So
Okay.
I still love you, I promise. So what we're looking to do is hopefully set up some more opportunities to connect over the next week. So I'll be in touch. I'll let you guys know what that means. I think overall this was a successful test. So hope you guys have a good weekend. Keep your eyes on Facebook for more videos. We'll be posting videos for Monday, late tomorrow night. And there are some things on there today. So Black Belt candidate, you should get to work this weekend big time. Yes, Trish, I'm looking at you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, well, you were the one right in front of me, but there's more than you. I know Tom's back there somewhere too, and
Jim.
the others. So
I'm back.
Mandy Krawcheck, yes. Let's get down to it. Absolutely. All right, guys. Sensei's about to leave the
Hi,
meeting.
Marcus.
Bye,
Any
Sensei.
questions? Any questions?
Have a good day.
Going once?
Good day, Sensei.
Bye.
Hang on.
Have a great weekend.
Happy
Bye.
Sunday. Happy Sunday.
Bye.